Hello there, Outliers, and Yama Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. We're coming at you live here with none other than Frank Sondors as we have another Outliers Edge Roundtable. Frank, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for bringing your time, your experience, and your expertise to the conversation. Appreciate having you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be jamming here today. I think we're going to have a really fun conversation here, really around how you show up as an outlier, how your organization shows up and gets outlier results for your clients, and what's keeping you on your edge. But before we get into that, would you mind sharing more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Sure. So Frank Sondors, I'm currently based in Europe, different sort of places, but in a tiny country called Lithuania right now. My background is in sales, so software sales, been in software sales for over a decade, started in the big corp in Google. So I got educated, in ads and everything, transitioned to software, pure software. And then in my last gig prior to launching this company, I used to lead a sales team of 50. And this is where I realized, damn, it takes a lot of bodies to build pipeline, to scale revenue, etc. So the bodies or headcount was the main lever to target attainment. I always thought to myself, damn, what if there was a better way to have significantly fewer humans producing a lot of output? And that's was the impetus essentially for me to start this company called Salesforce that was started 3 years ago. And in the first year, we scaled from zero to $3 million in ARR. The first $1 million in ARR was literally with no headcount, no employees. And then we only started to add then later on like support, etc. So yeah, the game that we're playing is what we call the CAC efficiency game. How do we bring home more bacon with the least bodies possible, so that we have a profitable business? We don't have to raise maybe as much money, or we don't have to raise at all, something which was unimaginable 3 years ago. And so yeah, we have over 10,000 customers, predominantly in the US, with a team of 40. We built also a bunch of softwares. We have 7 softwares in total that we operate right now, as part of a concept called this software compound model. And then, yeah, that's what we're up to. We're essentially selling these multiple pieces of software to founders, heads of sales, anybody that needs pipeline, which is pretty much, millions of businesses out there. So, yeah.
I really enjoy this game that you're playing here, and you talked about one. I'm just excited. I'm like, I think we can really have a fun conversation because I there's some things that you're bringing up here that I'm like, most people shy away from, and I think that you'll lean into. So, and I just got this moment inside me, Frank. I realized like right now I'm like, oh. Frank's gonna say something, and it's gonna cause me to have to lift up my level. I'm here to, and so I'm looking forward to that. All right, just know that I'm looking forward to it. You talked about the CAC efficiency. Talk about CAC efficiency. For any outlier that doesn't know what CAC means, do you mind just describing what that is or defining it?
Sure. So it's a cost of customer acquisition, but ultimately, how costly it is for you to acquiring net new dollars into your business. It's just becoming more and more expensive due to inflation, labor costs, you name it. It's just it breaks the businesses these days to be acquiring that new business. So yeah.
Yeah. So like when I think about that here, it's something that is I just found out about it like a couple of years ago when it came to business, and I was like, I wasn't looking at my business through that lens at all, and it actually slowed me down to say, like, oh wait, if I'm not understanding CAC or the cost to acquire a new customer, like, am I actually in business or am I just making money sometimes? And it's a very different game to be in the space of understanding the numbers and being able to work with it, right?
Mhm.
And there's something that comes along with it, which is I think about like Facebook Meta now and how cheap things were at the
Yeah.
time, like when they first came out, to like when they were just trying to get people out there. And you hear people like, oh, if I just spent more money back in like 2012, like this would have been totally different. And it just keeps coming back to me that it's like this is the cheapest it will ever be again. This is the cheapest it
Mhm.
will ever be. Like like no matter what happens, like this is the cards that we're dealt with. So how do we navigate that? And so when I hear you taking on this right now, and you talk about like getting a lot of output, I'm like, yeah, like in 10 years, people are gonna wish that they had the 2026 like rates out there,
Exactly.
or like so that's part of where my energy is at right here. Like you think about this more than I do, so I'm curious, like what resonates with like what are you seeing to be true in there, and how do you evolve that thinking?
Well, good question. So, just to give some maybe more context here, so we currently book over 500 meetings a month. These are what's called typically demos in the software. Now, typically, you will not know a business that generates 500, meetings with potential customers every single month. So that's the velocity we're running at, and there's naturally a lot of things that you need to do. And so everything that we do or every new test that we're running, it needs to have some form of ability to scale. So we are running every month typically, experiments to try and figure out, how do we compound, how do we get from 500 demos to 600 and to 700. So we have a goal by the end of the year to get to 1,000 meetings on a monthly basis with net new customers. We have such a big total addressable, millions of businesses, as I said, that we can be reaching out to. So we are looking, everything that we do has to have a scale component. If I don't see scale against the test we're running, we kill it, because there's nothing to be proud about some, your test you won that doesn't move the needle essentially for the business, right? So if stuff has to scale, whether these are ads through Meta or Google, etc. But I'm always trying to stay away as much as you can from the most expensive channels. So that's typically ads. It could be some other channels as well, and try and figure out how do you scale the cheapest channels in the early days, as much as you can, right? So we're talking about the first sort of 2 to 5 years of your business. Why wouldn't you, if you can scale to the max, your cheapest channels, why wouldn't you do that? But naturally, there is the necessary evil. We have to give up, we have to give some money to Google and Meta, etc. Right? So because the way that I look at, like, how could I, in our space, I have like 100 plus competitors. So I'm in one of the worst software categories that there is, like sales technology. There's so much sales technology out there, and I'm trying to figure out how do I become this big business, $100 million in ARR, and eat up the other guys a bit in their market share. How do you increase my market share, right? So what do I need to do? So this is where I would spend money with Meta and Google just to whenever naturally somebody searches on Google, right? So we would appear essentially, so we can transition some of that traffic to our side. So yes, I also do that necessary evil, but my approach to business generally, we can think about acquisition or anything else, is, so imagine you have a problem. And I typically, these days, with all the large language models, everything that's happening, OpenAI and stuff like that, everything that we're hearing, is try and get what I call an off-the-shelf AI agent solution for that problem that you have. So let's take my space, right? So we are in the space of, we need to acquire pipeline. Typically, you hire these what's called business development reps, or BDRs or SDRs, to build that pipeline for you. They do cold calls, they email, they message people on LinkedIn, right? This is where the labor cost is going through the roof, right? It's become too expensive to acquire because one of the main components of CAC is labor. So with everything that happened on the AI front, you have to figure out how do you actually blend your labor with agentic capabilities to reduce the CAC and increase output levels, right? So this is where you need to learn how to blend with the labor that you currently have, with the teams that you have, with the agentic capabilities. So plug in an off-the-shelf solution. And the reason why off-the-shelf solution is the first solution you should think of is because an off-the-shelf solution can be plugged in quite quickly into your organization, and you should be able to see output within typically a month or two. So you should be able to see, does it actually work for me or not? So I'm highly, highly recommending for you to roll out as many agents as you feasibly can over a span of a year to increase the output levels. Now, the second option to the problem that I'm kind of thinking back in my head is like, okay, so if there's no AI agent solution out there that I can just pay for it, right, plug it in, then I will build this out in what's called a custom workflow tool like NA10 or Make.com or Zapier, essentially. So you build this sort of robust backbone of your business. So you're killing off essentially typically these repetitive things that you need to do in your business. But why is a human doing that repetitive task? It's wasted money, essentially. Why are we doing these things? Why could you not have the feeling, like I had back in my days at Google, that everything feels like it's automated? Like like nothing is manual at Google, and that's the feeling that I wanted to create for my business back in the early days. So I started with my CRM with HubSpot, and then later on I built NA10, etc. So that's what I call it. Like, so if the agent doesn't exist, go and make a workflow. If you cannot make it into a workflow, then the solution tree is get an agency, get a freelancer to solve that problem. And the reason why you get a freelancer agency is because hiring really good people into your company today is very, 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 very difficult. Finding really, really the right people. And there is a huge cost of mishiring. Essentially, you hired the wrong person for the job. Instead, you should have gone down the agency route, plugging in very smart people in that particular area, plug it into your business so they can deliver the value for you very quickly. So time is money. Always think about time is money. The longer you wait, essentially there's an opportunity cost, right? So you've been waiting around, but you could have generated a few $1,000,000, in a year if you will actually move your ass a bit. And so the last resort to my problem, solving my problem in my business, whether that's the CAC problem or whatever other problem, is hiring actually humans. So yeah, this is how I arrived to this sort of whole thinking in my business. And what I typically tell to others is like, you got a problem? Can you plug in an agent, quickly enough? So agent first, human loss essentially is the way I think about everything in the business, including CAC. So yeah.
So if I'm hearing it, you have it like agent or agentic, then agency, and then you're like, all right, now let's get the humans. But like that's kind of the way that you go about doing this.
Yeah, and that's like a simple framework, right? And that
Yeah.
will massively change your business in financially, operationally, how you feel about your business, right? Like, because imagine I come in, I wake up, open my laptop, and I would love that things would just be automated around me, right? So, so you just have your NPS, your satisfaction with your own company will just go higher and higher, right? So the answer to hiring more people into your business is not the answer anymore these days. If you're not running any AI agents in your business, you're already you're not like just think of your competitors are definitely most likely plugging in agents into the business today. So you are falling behind for sure if you still have no agents running in your business today. So yeah, I've got many.
So
So yeah, right now.
So there's a couple of different things that are playing out here, and what like I'm thinking about my business, right? And I just got it like where I'm like, okay, I was on Zapier beforehand. I was doing a lot of things with Zapier, and there's a lot of things that are automated in my business, but they're still automated, kind of like it almost feels like automation 1.0 now. I'm like, like from the agentic perspective, like there's some things that's another level I haven't gotten to yet, and so I feel it, right? There's something here that I just want to kind of ground in a couple things, because as you're talking, I want to pull things out for any outlier that's listening as well. All right. One is, and this is part of the reason why I think I feel like so much energy when I talk to you here. I have this thing here. It's a radical thought. It's more is more. Most people say less is more. I'm like, but like how? Like more is more. It's like literally the word. Like more is more. And there's some element of, and I'm sure that there's ways where you can get higher yield, higher efficiency, so on and so forth. But that comes at a time. To your point, when you're saying like with doing the tests, like if we don't have enough, you didn't say this exactly, but what I was taking from it was, if we don't have enough throughput coming through, if we don't have enough people coming through that are seeing this test. One, how long is it going to take for us to be able to determine whether a test is successful or not?
Right.
Two, if we did make a change, a 1% change on 100,000 is totally different. A 1% change on 100 million,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
beyond, right? And so like for us to have like the gains of something of even the small incrementals, like we need a lot of volume. And so firstly, let me just check in. Am I saying anything that feels like fundamentally off in terms of the way that you think about things, or
Yeah, no, it's correct. But the other thing you have to kind of take, back of your mind is that typically 8 or 9 out of 10 tests will typically fail. So that's why you need to have a lot of tests in the pipeline.
Oh man, like you
A
say
lot
that,
of
and it like
every month we're like, guys, we don't have enough tests. Like we're not gonna make it because we're just not testing enough. Like you don't know what's gonna work. But yeah, if somebody, first and foremost, you need to have a lot of good tests coming. That's that's one problem that you have actually in the business. Like who's gonna come up with these tests? And then that's like a huge problem. There needs to be sort of this mastermind really. That can spearhead this. So luckily I can be that person, but in other businesses you don't have this crazy guy that will go and suggest 10 tests a day, and then we're going to pick some tests and we're going to test it and see if it works or not. If it doesn't, we deprecate. If it works, we scale it to the moon, right? So that's how you have to think about it. But yeah, like one problem that I mentioned to you is that we do like 500 plus meetings per month, and that's just too much from a standpoint that all of these, this is an example. There's just too many meetings, meaning 100% of meetings are being handled by the humans, by my team, speaking to the humans. But the problem is, you can imagine, if I'm doing so many meetings, sometimes you can't get a meeting like today, like in the next hour or something, or Some people don't want to really speak to a human. So there's essentially a lot of problems, essentially, or we just do too much volume in terms of the meeting. So I thought to myself, when I had this problem, let me just plug in an off-the-shelf solution to try and minimize the percentage of, you get essentially 100% of human demos down to, say, 60%. So I plugged in an agentic demo solution, essentially, on our site that you can just go to right now, click on get demo now, and there'll be this agent, namely Agent Frank, that will showcase you the platform. And yes, it's not perfect, but at least you can get the demo right now, because you can solve one of the biggest problems that exists on inbound, which is speed to lead or speed to bacon, what I call, how fast can we collect from this person? And a lot of people just want to ask questions, etc. And some of them have to buy today, but maybe there's no availability to have a call with a human, right? And that's just an example of what, in my eyes, this is for me like a 10x test. So I call these like a 10x. Does it feel like a 10x test? And reducing number of demos by even 10 to say 40% from humans and passing that over to agents feels like a 10x to me. So yeah.
Oh, I love this. So, let me pull back some things. So, outliers, as we're talking here, one of the things I'm seeing here is how what it looks like to think in terms of volume, right? And to be able to look at things from a perspective of, I'm going to say volume right now, but one of the things I want to call in is I'm energized, Frank, by the amount, the sheer amount that you're putting out into the world. And I'm energized because I think this kind of happens for us as outliers. There's two dichotomies. One of them is how little can I do? How can I optimize? How little can I do to get the maximum out? And then there's maximization. What if I just did more? Can I get even more than that? All right. And you're catching me at a time where I've moved from more of an optimization mindset to more of a maximizing.
I would say the latter is more important. So
yeah.
And so there's a saying also that scale trumps luck.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So because you're doing so much scale, you're inevitably going to get lucky, right? So there's no way you're not going to get lucky. So I'm going to give you a very simple example. And this is probably the most stupidest example. But somebody would tell me, Frank, I want to acquire new customers. So I want to send 10 emails per day. And 10 emails seems like good. And it's why would you do 100? Yeah, I could do 100. Okay. Why not 1,000? I could do 1,000. Do you have more TAM, more total addressable market? Yes, my market is 1 million. How about 10,000? Yeah, I can do 10,000. Why are you not doing the 10x? And even for me, 10x feels small, to be honest, these days.
Yep.
Why would you do 100x?
100x, yeah.
Of what we're looking to do. What stops us to do the 10? This is the test, but I like crazy tests. I like we're going to do a lot of, even the short span of time to figure out whether this is, we have a statistical significance on the test. What is the feedback that we're getting, from people? Does it have any negative impact, etc. Right? But yeah, I like big stuff, So we always say we don't do rookie numbers, right? So you should never do rookie numbers because things can only move if something massively move the needle. And sometimes it's just literally one test throughout the whole year that you actually did that made a huge difference. Now, I can give you now the craziest test that we're running, looking to run actually probably in the next few weeks. Let me, so this is pretty crazy. So this is for me 100x, even 1,000x. So here's the thing. It also applies to CAC, by the way. So what I'm doing right now, so I thought to myself, how do I acquire customers? So I can send, I can reach out via LinkedIn, email, call people, etc. I can spend money on ads, etc. And I thought to myself, damn, who else has my customers, my potential customers? And I thought to myself, my competitors have my customers, or these other adjacent sites have my customers. And I thought to myself, well, why wouldn't I pay my competitors? Just like you pay to Google. Why should I pay to Google? Why wouldn't I pay to my competitors for the traffic? And the reason why this whole thing came to my mind is because I used to work in a company out of New York 5 years ago in travel, where we were transferring essentially users from Expedia.com over to Booking.com. And we were essentially predicting in real time, will this user book a hotel, buy a flight, etc. And if the answer is no, we show Booking.com, the direct competitor within the funnel, to pass them on to Booking, and the Booking would pay you for this. So it's for CPC or affiliate, doesn't matter how it is. And this is what I call true thinking outside the box. Why do you go through the typical channels? Try to think, where are your customers? And your customers, potential customers, are with your competitors. So now, why would my competitor, why would they give me these customers? Now let's think about it, right? So you have to think about like your own funnel. Okay, so I'm paying money to acquire customers. Okay, cool. Then you have to think about, what is my conversion rate, right? From, let's say, they land on my site, they become a lead, and they actually convert. Okay, it's typically like 10 to 15%, like best case. Okay, what happens with the rest? What happens with 80% of those users? Like, does something happen? If the answer is no, why don't you sell off that traffic? Why don't you do something with monetize it, essentially? Because the money that you're going to make from people that actually don't end up buying, you can go back into the machine, right? So essentially, it's recouping the acquisition costs, say, with Google, whatever. So that's one way to think about it. Now, the other way to think about outside the box is, imagine you are a software vendor like I am. So, and I'm speaking to my competitors, and I'm like, hey, listen, you've got a lot of customers churning every month. What do you do with them? And guess what? The competitor says, nothing. I'm trying to reacquire them. How successful are you sort of, getting them back and becoming a customer? Not very successful. It's like, why don't you give them to me? Because if you think about it, in any space like travel or software, there's this sort of jumping behavior between page one, page two. In travel, they call it the comparison shopping, essentially. They shop around different sites to trying to get the best hotel, etc. And in other categories, like in our category, we also have this sort of jumping behavior. User jumps from page one to page two, page three, but nobody's monetizing the jumps, essentially, in the space, right? So and nobody is thinking about innovative revenue streams within software, apart from the monthly recurring revenue that you typically generate. But if you think about it, you could pass on the churn accounts to the next vendor, which is typically your competitor. And the reason why you're doing that is because they would buy anyway. Because they need a solution. Like, we're like in this sort of must-have space. So they didn't like our solution, so they're gonna go with the competitor. But I made no money along the way, right? So why wouldn't I make money, along the way? So yeah, so this is like, the crazy stuff that I'm speaking to direct competitors, CEOs of my competition, and I'm telling them to show our website within their app. So yeah.
So this is like I love this for a couple of different reasons. One, it's like there's a sense making, like it makes sense, right? But two, there's also an element of like it's very counterintuitive, but like
Yeah.
like which I personally gravitate towards. Like I'm like, all right, cool, because like, and this is the thing that happens with those outliers. It's like we wouldn't be here if we did the intuitive. We wouldn't be here if we took the standard
Mhm.
path, right? It's like this is rarefied air. We're like, and it's like so it actually makes more sense to me to do something that is out of the box than to do the box, because I'm like the box doesn't get me anywhere. I've tried the box. It works for most other people, but for some reason I'm not able to get results by doing things the typical way. And so I like how you're thinking about this here. It also gets to that element of like, are you familiar with Alex Ramosi?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I think about this here, he talks about something called like sawdust, where he's like, how, like, what do we do with the things in between? How do we oh, we can monetize people leaving,
Mhm.
like that's also a part of the value that we've created that right now we're just kind of sweeping away, but there might be
Yeah.
something that comes from there. There's a so it's fun for me to talk to you about this because, like, so I'm just bringing back the podcast in this season, the live streaming this season. This time we're bringing it up here. We started doing this. I've been at this for 10 years on and off, but like in September of 2024 is when I went like serious with this. And at that time, we were doing 90 people a week were coming onto this platform 3 days a week with multiple conversations here. And so I think about I looked at this and going back to your part when you said like, oh, like it's like 9 out of 10 tests like fail. Like I just finished doing. I took too long to look at my tests. Is what I took too long
Mhm.
to look at the results. The feedback loop was too long. So I looked at like the last 18 months and looked at this, and I realized that for all the changes that I was making, right, like pretty much the only change that impacted something was my initial reach out invitation, because I reach out to you without you knowing
Mhm.
me. My initial reach out invitation just like cut the number of people who responded by 30%, right? Or sorry, to 30%. So 1 out of 3 people who used to respond stopped, like those are the only ones that were. Other than that, everything else, when you looked at it from a large enough perspective,
Mm.
it all stayed consistent, right? And
Mhm.
so like it's fun for me because I rarely get a chance to talk to someone and be like you came on, you said like, oh yeah, he has like, a funnel behind like him coming in here. I have a journey that I like people to come through, and I like to meet people through this. I'm
Mm.
like, because this is this is my lead magnet. Other people like, come get a PDF, come get a this, come get a demo. I'm like, let me just platform you, and if there's something good here, then we can do some other things. But this is how I'm gonna do it. So I always I have room for this. But so as you're talking, you're getting me think about like, all right, where. This is why I said, I was like, oh, I'm afraid you're gonna have me up level, because I feel like for you, Frank, in me sharing this and outliers, this is why we create the space for outliers. This is why we bring on outliers, because you're one of the people who will be like, "Oh, I see you're 90. That was. I remember when we did 250 in a week. That was cool,
Mm.
Like, and so now I'm actually thinking about, okay, this thing that most other people shy back from, that say, hey, that's too much. Just why not do one a week? I spend time with you, and I'm like, oh, huh. How do we 10x that number? And are we going to go with hiring additional facilitators? Or are we going to find some other way for people to have more conversations without us having to be there? And what happens from that place? So I just want to let you know, Frank, like in real time, this is the first time that like in a long time where most people say that's too much, but now this is the first time in a long time, like, oh, is this even enough?
Well, again, you're kind of describing, the challenge and maybe and the context here. I'm thinking of something else. Thinking immediately of the crazy stuff. The crazy stuff is where two AI agents talking to each other on the podcast. That's where what I'm thinking,
Ah,
how it all is gonna
yeah.
evolve. And it's gonna be very interesting to speak to listen to two AI agents talking to each other. Two
Mm.
outlier AI agents, let's go that way. That's how I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking about how
Mm.
people progress because um like the intelligence of the whole agentic space is exponentially increasing, right? So you can generate a lot more outliers as AI agents, but you can't generate that many outliers as humans, right? So,
Mm.
or you're trying to tap into outliers. Now, imagine that every show you would have crazy outliers, but you can't achieve that. It's not realistic unless the outlier is an AI agent that mimics, I don't know, Elon Musk or Alex Hermosi, etc. Right? So the question becomes, can would Elon Musk ever appear on your show? Probably not.
Mm.
And would other crazy people would ever appear on your show? Probably not. The probability statistically is too low for that. But if you can take Elon Musk's brain, make that into an AI agent, and then the AI agent of Elon Musk would pop up on your show, and you could kind of have a chat with him. It sounds like Elon Musk. That sounds, that is to me also an outlier. It's like, damn,
Mm.
it's like talking to Elon Musk, but it's not Elon Musk. So that's what I'm thinking. But the reason why I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it is because I'm deep in the agentic trenches, and everything that I look at, whether it's a podcast or something else, I'm thinking of, could an AI agent do this? So yeah.
No, but this is great. Like, because what you've done is one you've stretched my thinking, right? You've also gotten me to go against like I think it's really wonderful whenever I'm like, don't put me in a box. And then I realized like I'm like, oh crap, this is a box. This is one of the boxes I have. Like, it has to be a person. You're like, but what if it didn't? And as you were
Yes.
talking, I was there's this is like a guilty little secret of mine, but there's a show that has like these AI agents playing the game Mafia and Among Us, right? And it just like they just have these different models, and they train them and they just let them go. And I can watch that for hours. Like, and I know that they're not real people,
Mhm.
but like I am curious about how like these models all work with each other and
But
such,
doesn't the question is, does it matter, right? So at the end of the day,
Mm,
let's say if I'm listening to this, I want to get some value out of this.
yeah.
And whether you are asking questions to a human or AI agent, does that really matter? Like who answered, like who are you having
Yeah,
a
I guess
chat
I guess
with?
the like as you're
Uh,
asking that, I'm like the element that feels like it would be important is like what feels true, and like almost like the perception of like, can this work for me? Right. So
mhm,
that like there's some element there where it's like, Frank, you've done a lot of volume. You're living it. You're going through the process of having a lot of volume. So like when you bring it up, I'm like, that sounds ridiculous, but there's a person that's actually doing this right here,
Mm,
and I'm hearing it there, right?
gotcha.
And but that's just another problem to be able to solve, right? So it's like, all right, so like to your point,
Well,
almost around like the 60%, it's like, oh, like what if they knew that, like, hey, we got to take something of this with a grain of salt, but we still got to have the conversation. Like, it may not be as impactful if we had like Agent Frank come in and talk here instead of you. It may not be as
not yet.
impactful as you. Say it again.
Not yet.
Not yet, right? But like, if we had that going on, like, would it be the same as like your energy, your thing? No, it wouldn't. But we would get
See,
some of it.
the way I look at these things is like, let's say the for me, the value here is to unlock my thinking.
Hmm.
And I think you can unlock the thinking whether you're listening to a real human or an AI agent. And I'm gonna draw some parallels here. Me talking, say, to ChatGPT.
Yep.
Now, you can treat ChatGPT to anybody as a business coach. You can say, "This is the problem that I'm facing, and I want to eliminate the human bias as much as I can." And I actually rather, and many founders today and CEOs, they talk to ChatGPT saying, "This is the problem I have. How would you solve this, or how would I solve this?" So that's where I'm drawing the parallels here. Like, what do like very smart people do today? They don't talk to advisors anymore. They talk to ChatGPT. Why is that? Because ChatGPT has access to the whole internet, can crunch billions of lines of code in seconds, and that's not something that human can do. So as a result, I would actually challenge you here. And so the fact that you're talking to a human, you're less likely to succeed than talking to an AI agent, because the agent has more information, more power, more context. It is able to help you to de-risk even better than a human, um, because the agent can, you know, look at the whole web and everything, and get hundred francs, as a context. And
Hmm.
I can't do that because of my human brain, essentially.
Yep.
But I would say that agentic capabilities can unlock even better thinking overall if you know how to use them. And sure, it's not a human that has done this, but it depends on what you're optimizing. I'm optimizing for the craziest test I can run. And I have a struggle by speaking to other humans that cannot feed me these crazy tests. So I have to speak to the AI
Hmm.
agent that is more powerful. It's like, a human essentially is GPT-3, but I'm
Hmm.
speaking to GPT-5, and that's an
Yeah.
agent.
Yep.
That's how I think about it. And then so for me, a typical human today is GPT-3. And that so I have a struggle with humans today because I'm unable to unlock my capabilities. And there's a saying, you should be in the room where you are the dumbest person, in that
Yep.
room. That's the
Yep.
room that you should be in. And I always want to be the dumb kid, or the dumb, dude in
Looking
the
like a
room.
true outlier. Yep. I get that. Yep.
Exactly. I don't want to be in the room where I'm the smartest guy.
Yep.
I don't want to be in the room where I'm GPT-5 and everybody else is GPT-3. See, like, so people that are, very smart and know what they're doing, they're also struggling, right? Talking to other humans, etc., because there's, competence missing, or, intelligence missing, whatever that is. So I do see more and more people sort of gravitating towards things like ChatGPT or something similar to actually push them beyond their thinking, to think outside the box. Um, because that is really the truly the next level. But yeah, there's this sort of human component. Oh, it's not a human, but does it truly matter to you, the fact that I am a human, or maybe I'm not a human? So does it truly matter to you? The idea is just to think, yeah, outside the box, to push yourself towards the next level. That is really, I think, what we're here for. So
Frank, you're messing things up for me, man. I had a plan. I had a
yeah.
plan before this year. But like at Outliers, like listen to some of like what Frank's saying, right? So like some of the things I'm gonna pull out from here. It's like one, we're already using tools as it is, right? There's a constraint that I had put on here around trust or whatnot, and you were very quickly to be like you didn't ask, but like indirectly you're like, but we use ChatGPT, so on and so forth to do this. You're already using a tool, and to that exact point, I think this is why I'm thinking about this is like, how can I better serve Outliers now? Because I'm like, the reason I bring on these things because I'm like, I need someone who has created more space, someone who's thinking about this beyond where I am. Oh my goodness, Frank, you might help me like step up another level as a result of me being here, right? But those are the conversations I have with ChatGPT because I'm like, no matter what, I'm gonna just be like, I need like how do we 10x this? Like, but why isn't this possible? Like, but like, and if it was, you're telling me that there's no one else has done this. How does it get like? How have they done it? Given what you know about me, how would you get it done? And so as you're saying this, I'm like, oh, you're right. I think I'm thinking about. Do you mind if I spitball this out in real time? Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah. What's coming to me is that it's about the authenticity of it. It's like this
Mm,
is an AI agent talking to another AI agent based on what the AI agent knows about these two people, and that's how this conversation is growing and going. And at
mm,
that point, once that's clear, then we know what we're dealing with. I think that the only challenge I would have faced would have been like if it was purporting something to be untrue. But now that
mm,
you're saying it this way, I'm like, oh, if we look at it from the tool perspective of seeing like just being able to have access to just exponential thinking on a regular basis that is taken that's being here, what would be the problem of it? So now you have me like rethinking things, Frank, and I appreciate you for it. And like, and when I see something like this that's this good, I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to build this now, And then Outlier. So let's go through because Frank has laid out his path to doing it. So my first thing is, what's the off the shelf solution that I can get to be able to make this kind of thing happen, and then
mm,
see what happens and play it out from there. So thanks, Frank. I like to I I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I appreciate you for it because this is why I like more is more because it's like
mm,
like I did not realize until this conversation how much of my conversations are about making incremental 1 to 10% kind of improvements, you
mm.
know,
Yeah.
which is totally different than 100x thinking, 1,000x thinking, because you're like, but what if we just like, in order to physically get this done, what if you didn't have to go get more labor? You could just eliminate that altogether. Not because it's the cool thing to do, but like it can be done. So why
Mm.
not?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the
Ah,
way you think about, how could I 10x what you do? Like again, I'm thinking that again that going down the agentic path
yeah.
is I would take your voice and everything that you do on the camera. That would be the input to create a deep fake out of you.
Hmm.
And then instead of having one show, we would create 10 shows
Mm,
for specific niches, and because from a standpoint of from a sort of human standpoint, as in I want to listen about very particular things. I want to talk about CAC only. We're
yeah.
talking about different things, but
Yeah.
somebody only wants to talk about CAC. The other
Yeah.
person wants to talk about something else, and it's very hard to please everybody, but there is a way to please this if you wouldn't just niche down to this and that and that. But there's not 10 of you, so you can't achieve that. So this is where I'm like, oh, we've got a scaling problem, and I'm immediately thinking it has to be an agent. So I'm immediately thinking I'm gonna take your face, your voice, the way you say things, the way you do, the way you talk, and I'm gonna deep fake you, make 10 of you, make 10 shows, and then invite 10, simultaneously 10 shows live, with different guests. That's how I think about scaling.
This is like Frank. The thing that's fun for me is that like I hear you say this, and I had the same thoughts, but just with
Yeah,
like facilitators. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go. I went straight to the human element, right?
exactly.
And
For
you're
me,
like,
that's last resort, right? So
that's a last resort. Yeah. Yeah. So outliers, like we're gonna start wrapping up this conversation, but I like that we're able to make this real, right? Because this is the question I think about all the time. I'm like, look, like this is I know because I've done the test where I'm like a certain group of people are going to come into my world, and like I'll be honest, like I enjoy meeting new people, but like I enjoy doing the work of coaching and transformation more than like having a conversation. This is good. This is energizing, and I'm like, but we're not even in like what they say. It's like this is not even my full power yet, and I'd rather spend more time in my full power. So as you're talking about this, I'm like, I really do wonder what would happen, what would grow and it can work on anyone's schedule at any time. Like there's a lot of things that I can do with this that would be fun. So now I have to go. I'm actually thinking about this. I'm like, all right, let me go find like an off the shelf solution to make this come to life, and
mhm.
then we'll see where we go from there. All right, Frank, the seeds have been planted. Outliers. So you're watching this here, but like when we do this here, that like this is to unlock your thinking. I really like that. As put that in there. Like we cross pollinate, we up level, and we unlock thinking. And so with this here, like share in the chat right now, share wherever you are. Like make a comment. Like let us know what is the biggest insight you're getting from this. Like what are you taking? What are you going to do differently as a result of this conversation? If any of y'all like bring that in here, we'll share it with Frank before he leaves. But Frank, let's do this. Uh, for you, what is, if any outlier wanted to go deeper down the journey with you, if any outlier is sitting here and being like, thank you, I need to get either 500 meetings on my calendar, or I want to continue to grow and expand like how my business operates, right? What's the
Mm.
best way for them to go deeper down the journey with you?
I mean, I'm typically an open book, but like I try and streamline people into LinkedIn. So I'm available on LinkedIn. You can see Frank Sondors, the guy with the bacon emoji. It says,
Mhm.
"I help you to bring home more bacon." So I'm all about that. The more the merrier. So yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. Awesome. And so the way I like to wrap here is with insights. Throughout this conversation, I've shared some of the things that have come from me. And the way I think about this from this perspective, I'll share the impact this conversation has had on me, Frank, and then I love to hear any insights you got from this conversation for yourself, if any. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
on my end, there were probably two or three. Some of the bigger ones is one, I'm thinking too small, and even though most things feel like uh, I'm stretching too far, it's like no, I'm still thinking way too small. That
Mm.
was one of the bigger insights. Two was this element of like trust with the agentic component. So I think one, the off the shelf component of it, like I didn't like oh, I don't have to go build it. Like that felt
Mm.
really nice to like, oh, I don't have to go build it. Like it could already exist and I can just bring it in and we can experiment and test with that. But I think that there's this other part of like trust and authenticity. And what hit me at the end was like, I'm like, oh, I would rather be like coaching. I'd rather be building with people. Like, so like, why not create the space for that to take place? Um,
Mm.
and then yeah, I think the third thing was just like it's like, oh, I'm not alone in this. And there are people out there who are not letting it hold themselves back and look at the fun that they're having. So like
Mhm.
so that is those are the three insights I got from today's conversation. Well, are there any insights that you would like to share as it relates to you as a result of being here today?
Yes. So, I mean, I think for me, the insight would be that, I still see, the pushback, I guess, around AI agents. And that's I typically, I do get that confirmation from my own business and like launching new agents. And I'm trying to understand the pickup versus, say, like in my example that I had, right? So, where we launched this agentic demo solution on the website. But there's a choice. Do you want to go down what we call the human path or the agent path to to have a demo of our product? And what I'm sensing, and also this is a bit of a learning here, is similar to you that humans like the component of the authenticity kind of component. It feels like I listen to a human. Whereas for me, like for me, it doesn't matter who gives me the input. Is it the machine or the human or God knows what else? I'm just looking to up my game really in the most efficient way possible, right? So but then I'm also thinking, again, being an outlier, I guess, is I'm also thinking a bit like a machine because I'm kind of staying away from these, let's call it human uh, elements, let's call it that way. I think very, very much like a machine, sort of 1 + 1 = 2, and that's it. So, and I was trying to stay away from sort of the things like emotions and so on and so forth. And yeah, but at the same time, when I kind of reflect on our conversation, is I'm thinking that there's definitely this still human component that you just can't let's call it eliminate from the conversation. And that will always remain there unless we're going to progress. Let's say in the next 50 years there are going to be so many AI agents and robots walking around here, etc., whatever, where it's going to be more acceptable that you can trust, and you will trust more, and you will perceive that talking to even an Android, whatever, that it feels also authentic to you, right? So there's definitely this sort of shift, I think, that we're going to be going through the next 50 to 100 years. So it's going to take some time, but I'm still a
Mhm.
big believer that humans and sort of agents will coexist and we'll be talking to each other as we're going into the future. So yeah.
I love this. Like, if you may, on that last bit there, there was something that was coming to me as you were saying. Do you mind if I share it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The big thing for me was like, oh, if there's going to be trust, then we need to solve for trust, right? And I think like that's something that like you talk about chat 3, right, with most humans, and you talk about chat 5 right now, right, or
Sure.
5.2. Like the thing is that like I have conversations with 5.2 to unlock my thinking because it actually is able to do that. To
Mm,
some extent, right? And I still get frustrated. I'm like, you forgot you forgot who you're talking to. Don't be coming with this test it incrementally stuff, right? Like, remember, we talk, add this to your memory, right? But there was an element here where I was like, what was it? Because I wouldn't have had this conversation when chat first came out. They're like, write an essay for you. And so
mm,
I think that the question here may not be about agentic, not agentic. It's just like how do you build trust in that environment? Like I think that's what I'd be looking to try and solve for. And then the other
mm.
part of it is like, yeah, I think how do you build trust? And it comes to me as like, where did they get an experience where they're like, man, talking to Agent Frank was so much better than the experience of having to talk to like Frank,
A human.
like a human, right? And so
Mm,
if you can get like, I think this. I think like at this point implicitly, you're like, yeah, but like it's so much better if I just do it with an agent. Like I get most of what I need anyway. And you gave all these different reasons.
yeah.
So for me, as I'm thinking about this here, I'm like, it's sound what you're saying. It makes sense. How do we
Mhm.
solve for trust? And if we solve for trust, then I think like if you run some tests on that, I think then you'd be good.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like a very simple example, I can see that Agent Frank writes better emails than I do. Right.
Yeah.
I can write those great emails like like he does, but the dilemma is going to take me far longer, to write that email. Plus, there's another thing that you're going to have to think with humans. Humans are just generally intrinsically just lazy.
Yeah.
So I'm also lazy, like researching a prospect, trying to figure out how to craft the email, etc. And an agent can just do that in seconds, right? Because you could just order it to do it. That's what it's designed to do. And it doesn't have. And the other thing that I speak to a lot of founders, kind of going to close it off, is that a lot of founders and CEOs that I talk to, and also the outliers, um, they don't want to deal with these days also what's called human problems as well a lot.
Yeah.
This is a sort of everybody knows hiring a lot of humans, you have big teams, you have human problems, but the only way to give to have no human problems is to get rid of humans, right? But you can't do that either. So this is why uh, a lot of folks are thinking to blend or replace in some of the places with agentic capabilities, because you still, there's the negative component of kind of humans is that you need to deal with them, and they have emotions, they're crying, they're not satisfied, they're not happy with your job, and a lot of other people just don't want to deal with that, and that's where also the impetus for a lot of founders and outliers essentially out there is I rather deal with an agent,
Mhm.
emotionless, you know, object kind of, and I think more of that is coming for sure as we're
Yeah.
progressing. So yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. And like, you know what? At the very least, there's gonna be a certain portion of it that does, and that people are being handled. And now, like the people who still want human, like until then, we still have a human solution as well, right? But like,
Mm.
so I love, I appreciate this. Thank you, Frank, for being someone who continues to find rooms where you're not the smartest person in it. I really love this 1000x thinking outliers. Like, leave a message, leave a comment with the things that you have. And then my ask here is that you go and you share this out with someone that really like that would really benefit from this conversation. This one here is about like actually getting high leverage from bringing it to the next high level thinker and continuing along that way. All right. Until the next time we talk outliers, remember to be you on purpose. Journey on.